how to teach a killer hot yoga class. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. I've been teaching hot yoga since 1981. Let's talk about preparation. First things first. There's a saying, fortune favors the prepared.
Then what are you prepared to do?
If you know the sequence, let's say you're a Bikram teacher, there's a set sequence. If you're a Barkan teacher, there's the first part is set, and then we have options for the second half of the class. If you're an Ashtanga teacher, it's a set sequence. Whatever the sequence is, whatever you're teaching, you have to know those words inside and out. Especially if you're just learning how to teach that particular class. And what I tell my new teachers in my teacher training programs is rehearse those words out loud. It's one thing to know them in your head, when you actually have to say those words to classroom to calculate the words. In the Bikram world, they have you memorize the script. In the Barkan world, we have bullet points, and I have you calculate your own sentences, but addressing all the bullet points. But you have to know these words. They have to be automatic. Because if you're thrown off your center, you get nervous. All of a sudden, something happens in the class that somebody asks you a question and you're in the middle of saying something. If you don't know these words backwards and forwards, you're going to get lost.
Don't interrupt me.
Have you ever gone to Denny's and they had a special and they asked the waiter the special? God forbid you interrupt him because he memorized what the special was. Now you go to a 4 or 5 star restaurant and they have a special. That waiter knows what that special is. It's almost like they've cooked it themselves, they prepared it themselves because they're prepared. So you got to know those words inside and out. Practice them out loud. Before we continue on, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button. Any questions or comments, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you. Now, because I've been teaching yoga for so long, I can't relate to the subject when it comes to yoga teaching. However, some of you may know that I am a part-time singer. That was really my original dream. I was singing way before I was doing yoga, but then I stopped singing professionally for years and years and years. About 11 years ago, I started again. So now when I'm performing, sometimes I'm performing in front of 25, 50 people, but my audiences have been bigger, 300, 400, up to 1,000 people. And it's just me on stage. So what I do is that what I'm going to say in between the songs, how I'm going to introduce the songs, the banter that I have with the audience, I rehearse that out loud as much as I rehearse the songs. Why? If I get lost, if I start talking about what's next and I start in my little banter with the audience and I just get lost and I forget what I'm saying, I'm going to lose the audience. And that happened to me when I first started performing 10, 11 years ago. And I vow that to never let that happen again. And how did that happen? By rehearsing those words out loud, so they're automatic. If I am thrown off my center, somebody asks me, maybe there's a heckler in the audience, I know exactly where I am, I know exactly where I'm going to go to because the words are second nature. As a yoga teacher, it's the same thing. When the words are second nature, you can play with the nuances. Someone asks you a question, it doesn't matter because you know exactly where you are. You're not going to get lost. Make that a serious priority. Part 2 to the preparation, especially if you're new. You don't want to just get out of your car, walk into the yoga room and start teaching. Or if you have to do desk work, you check people in. After the last person's in, it's time to go. You lock the door, start the class. Boom. My suggestion is to take some time to prepare mentally before you go into that classroom. Maybe in your car, if the studio has a back room that you can close the door and then do a ritual. A preparation. Get yourself in the mindset. What class am I going to teach? What are the things that I have to remember? What are the bullet points that maybe I forgot last time that I want to exaggerate? Maybe there's a theme to the class that I want to use for this particular class. So now I've got a preparation. I know exactly where I can see myself teaching. It's not, especially if it's a big class. You don't want to just walk and you're not used to a big class. You just walk into that class. It may throw you, could make you nervous, could make you self-conscious. But if you have a preparation in your mind, like an Olympic athlete sees the event before it's happening. You see yourself in that classroom before it even started. Now you've got this preparation going. It will make a big difference. Now you walk into that room with a lot more confidence to lead, to hold that space. And if you're interested in becoming a Barkan method hot yoga teacher, we have 200-hour level 1 trainings. We have 300-hour level 2 and 3 trainings, both live and online. I put links in the description below. We'd love to have you join the family. You have to forgive me, I'm a little bit under the weather. I just fought this virus that I just came out, 102 fever. By the way, side note, that's one time that you should not be doing hot yoga if you're feverish. On the other hand, if you have a cold, it's the best thing. Get in there and sweat it out. Of course, that is if you're not contagious, but for the cold, it's the best thing in the world. If you have a fever, being feverish, sit that one out. I have a suggestion before the class starts, is to have a bigger picture of the class. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Just like in your day, you wake up in the morning, it's a whole different consciousness than what happens in your middle of your day, in the middle of work. And that's a whole different consciousness when you're at home afterwards and you're winding down. There's a beginning, middle, and end. Same thing for the classroom. The beginning is the warm-up. We don't want to go gangbusters, especially if you're teaching an early morning class. You're not going to come out with a strong voice. The students are going to get a feel for your energy. You're going to get a feel for the classroom. You're going to start out slow and let the energy slowly begin to build. I have a saying in the yogic posture, less in the beginning, more at the end. The same thing in the yoga class. Less in the beginning, let that energy build. Build to that point where, especially in the middle of the class when you're at full steam, otherwise you're going to be exhausted. Start out slow. This is dynamics, and let that energy level build. It's the same thing for yoga posture. Let's say a cobra pose. You start out slow and you build, you peak, 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 and you come down into reverse shavasana, beginning, middle, and end. So back to yoga teaching. You see the class, beginning, middle, and end. And here's the thing, you want your voice to reflect the moment. Start out slow. When it's time to go strong, you go strong. When it's time to come down into your shavasana, the energy level changes. Beginning, middle, and end. There's dynamics. That's going to make it more interesting, which leads to a killer class. Now we have the understanding, beginning, middle, and end. Now let's say you're teaching a Bikram class or a Barkan class, and the postures are exactly the same. You know exactly what you're saying. You don't have to come up with a sequence. What I do is I look at the room and I say who's in it, because there's always going to be different people. And I treat those people like pieces of the puzzle. So now I have a whole different puzzle every single class. If I have more advanced students than beginning students, that changes the dynamic. If I have more beginning students than advanced students, or no advanced students at all, that's a whole entirely different class in my mind. Nowadays, usually there's a mix. So we have to understand the puzzle pieces, how to put them together, and that really ties us into the next step. And that's letting your voice, again, reflect the moment of the class, but also reflect the energy that's presented to you in this classroom. So if I have more advanced students, for example, I may be a little tougher. I may hold the postures maybe a little bit longer than I normally do. Vice versa. If I have more beginners, I may be a little more understanding, a little bit more empathetic. I maybe hold the postures maybe a little bit less. In the Barkan method, we have options that we do in the floor poses. So that also is going to determine what option that I choose. But the mix of people every day is different. These are the puzzle pieces. You put that puzzle together, which changes the energy, which changes the dynamic, and now each class is fresh and different and new, once again leading you to teaching a killer class. There's another thing that we emphasize and encourage in the Barkan method, and that's encouragements and corrections. Not just rambling off the script. So when I'm doing a posture like standing hip to knee, I'll give them the bullet points that's important, the foundation for the class, the foundation for that particular pose. Then I'm going to sit back while I'm standing, but I'm going to stand back and I'm going to watch and I'm going to encourage. And usually I encourage the beginners more than I do the advanced people, but that's just my particular style. I have a saying in my class, the more sarcastic I am with you in your practice is the best compliment, meaning I'm expecting a lot more from you. So my advanced people know, or I'm sarcastic with them, and I'm kidding, but at the same time, I'm also saying, come on guys, it's time to step it up. But when I give my advanced students a compliment, it means a lot more. So encouragements are absolutely essential. And again, that's going to change because the students are going to change with each class. The second part of that equation is corrections. Same thing. I'm going to give the initial instructions, let's say for standing bow. Pick up your right foot from the inside. I'm going to make sure the new person's holding the foot right. Strong left arm. You're going to kick back as you lower down. How high you kick depends on the flexibility of the hamstring of your standing leg. If you've been watching my videos, you've heard that 100 times. And then I'm going to stand back and I'm going to make corrections. Body down. Get the knee underneath. Get the foot come out of the back of the head. Understanding the corrections that I make to get students on the right track. Like the key that unlocks the door. The tumblers have to fit in. Here's the beauty of all this. It's an exact position for everybody at every level. From the raw beginner all the way to the extreme advanced person. There's an exact alignment we want to get into. And you as a teacher, your job is to help students find that exact alignment. Even though you may not be able to do the advanced position yourself, at least you know how you can get your advanced students to that next level. The corrections are going to get them on the right track. When I started with Bikram, All Bikram ever did was correct. And Miss Cleaves, who also taught me the advanced class, all she did was correct. She would correct me all the time. But she would wait, this is her thing, she would wait till the end of the pose when I was exhausted or just about to come out of the position, or not exhausted from the class, but exhausted at that moment from the pose. And then she'd get on me because she knew at that moment my body is going to be more accessible to flexibility because my body is fatiguing. So then she would push me, get me to that next level. And that, as a teacher, you want to be able to have that skill to be able to get the key to unlock the door to help your students find that next level. And we do it with encouragement and corrections. And now we come to the end of the class, and once again, I highly suggest that you prepare. What are you going to say? Sometimes people do a body scan. And here's a suggestion if you've never heard that before. People are laying in Shavasana. You can say, relax the toes in your feet, and you can work your way up. Relax the ankles. Relax the calf muscles and work your way all the way up to the skull. We call in yoga the Kapala. It's a wonderful body scan. It's a relaxation, a nurturing of your students. In your final Shavasana, you say namaste or however you want to finish the class. Thank you for joining me, whatever the words you use. The point I'm saying is back to the very first part of preparation, is to rehearse it. What are you going to say? But you don't want to say it in a rehearsed tone. Another thing that you can rehearse, how not to say it in a rehearsed tone, but say it in a way that's authentic and in the moment. Usually how I finish the class at the very end, I'll do a breathing exercise, certain pranayams that I've learned from Paramahansa Yogananda over time, who I became a disciple of in 1983. But usually how I end the class, with their eyes closed, I say, keep your eyes closed and shift your gaze to the third eye. Visualize your third eye is a white light that represents your own energy and prana. Send that light to each person in the room. Realize now that you're receiving the energy back from everyone in the room. And now we come together to support each other through the power of yoga. I may say something like, your assignment is to take this feeling with you. You've earned it. Take it into your day. Let it empower you. I'll see you at the next class. Namaste. So you have these words memorized. Now you finish strong. You finish with closure. You finish with unity, which is really the meaning of yoga. And once again, leading you to teach a killer class. So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. You want to learn all about hot yoga, tutorials, flows, factoids, hit the like button and the subscribe button right now. Any questions or comments, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you, and I will see you the next video. Bye, everyone.